I think we'll call the meeting to order. There you go. It's cool. So we're calling the meeting at 7:32 PM, October 12th, 2023.
Corey, sorry. Whitney is in the waiting room of the Zoom.
Yeah, we're all.
Is she in?
Hi, everyone.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. We're all doing.
Good. She texted me, so I.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you.
Everyone to stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That you signed already?
I did not.
Then we gotta pass it around the field.
I judge.
Has everyone looked at the minutes from last week? Has everyone looked at the minutes from last week?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from last week. Who wants to make the motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from last month's meeting.
Okay, first. Get a second?
I'll second.
Great. It has been probably motioned and second, that the minutes from last month be accepted. All those in favor? Opposed, none? So be it. Minutes are accepted. Okay. All right, moving on to the WLS report. Francis?
Yeah. If you insist, yes, I'll give you a report. Okay, the board met on the 21st or 26th of September, which was the first meeting after the summer recess, and it took a number of actions, and I would be pleased to report to you. One is that the governance committee of the board had been for a number of weeks reviewing the employee handbook of WLS, and they made a number of recommendations on that handbook, and those recommendations were incorporated in the final draft of the handbook, which was submitted to the board at our last meeting. Now, the system within the board is that when a recommendation is made to the board, no decision is taken right away. The board is given 1 month to look at it, study it, and so on, and then the decision is taken at the next meeting. So at the last meeting, we were given this handbook to look at, explanations given, and we are supposed to review it, study, look at it, and then at our next meeting, we'll take a decision to approve it, which I think it will be approved. It's a comprehensive handbook. It's about it describes the conditions of employment for the WLS staff. It talks about, it gives general information about WLS, their behavior, what their rights, etc. Compensations, benefits, insurance. It talks about leave of absence and accommodations and the separation process, and then the good old retirement, when it comes, and so forth. So it's a comprehensive handbook that, and it's intended really more for an internal use of WLS. It's not to be necessarily submitted to any higher authority. So I think the staff will find that extremely useful. So that's one thing we looked at. It took quite a bit of discussions because the trustees had a lot of interest in it. The second thing is that for a number of years, WLS has had relations with a bank in Toronto called the Toronto Dominion Bank. This bank, I don't know how it started, but this bank had been extending a line of credit of $500,000 to WLS. for, for a year, renewable every year. Without charge, no fees, no agreement, no covenants, nothing. It is just a line of credit that the WLS could use or can use in case of any need. It is a facility that is there. And so every year, this thing, the issue, the renewal for permit to use the, to have this facility comes to the board for approval. And this time it came to the board and we looked at it, we discussed it. The past few years that this facility has been available, we never used it at all. But somehow the board feels that it's a good insurance to have in the back pocket, just in case something happens and then we need to resort to it. In case we use any part of the facilities, then the applicable interest rates would be in force. So for $500,000, this is not bad, and it is just there, at no cost at all to WLS. So we approve that gladly. The third issue that we took up was simply to endorse and approve the recommendations of the PLDA Grants Committee. You are all aware, and we've been reporting on that the state approved an amount of $34 million for the libraries within the state. And our share of that is a little over 1.6 million. And 12 libraries applied for the use of this grant. 12, not all the 40, 12. And the committee accepted the applications, and the money has been allocated to those who applied, including our library. So not all the 1.6 million has been used. And that was my concern. I said, now if we allocated this money and not all the libraries apply for it, or part of the money is left year after year after year, are we not sending a wrong message somewhere that maybe we don't need the money and might work to our disadvantage? So it is something that I assume the board will have to look at in the coming years. So anyway, so we approve the recommendation of the PLD committee. Now, I don't know whether that means that the money that has been approved for our library is now in our account or not, or you have to wait or whatever. I don't know.
I can answer that, Francis. First of all, relative to the monies that were allocated to our county system this year, indeed, which is not always the case, there was more money than there were grant applications. And we've seen that sort of seesaw over the years. Some years there's enough money to allow us to have a tremendous grant awards. And there are other years, like last year, and 22, where there was more grant applications in regards to money than there was money allocated from the state. So it changes from year to year. In terms of the money that was approved by the WLS board at the meeting in September, now that the board has accepted the recommendation of PLDA committee, it will then go on to Albany, where it's examined by the New York State Library and also examined by the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York. And typically, this is a very long, drawn out process, which seems like it's taken more time since the arrival of COVID and the pandemic. And so what we're hoping for is that there will be an announcement in June, July, August, maybe September, that the grant recommendations will have been awarded to all the libraries throughout the state, including the libraries in the Westchester Library System. And then with that in mind, the check will arrive at some point later. The check for the grant from 2022 arrived just a few weeks ago. So it can be easily a 14-month process from application to delivery of that first check. And we're lucky these grants provide upfront payments of 90%, which means we don't have to sort of borrow, you know, the money is there. Not all state grants fall into that category. Some require that the library or the organization have to pay upfront, and then there's a reimbursement. But these New York State grants are terrific because we don't have to fall into that category. We don't have to find the money and then get reimbursed.
Very good. So it would be nice if the procedure could be speeded up a little bit so that you don't have to wait. The next thing is that the executive director's report for September, I think is out already. I don't have to go into that. It would be, I think it's available to all the to trustees here. You circulate, yeah, the executive director's report.
No, you know,
No, so
because
yeah, we could have that
Terry's-
circulated.
right,
Yeah.
Terry's office, Terry Kirshner, the
Mm.
ED for WLS will send it out. But I don't know
Yeah.
if he sends it to boards. I used to send it to the board and then I discontinued because I was under the assumption it went to them directly. But if not,
Yeah.
when they come out in the future, I'll resume what I used to do, which is to forward the
Right.
whole packet to you, and it's all electronic, so.
Yeah, I used to forward it, I think, to you or the chair and
Yeah.
then I discontinued. But I think it would be nice if that report could be circulated because it's comprehensive. It really describes the activities of WLS. And that spares me the effort of going to go through all that in my report to you. So that's that. My last point is I take it that the members of the board are already aware of my decision not to continue for the next term. The efforts have been made to identify a successor, and that has been done. The bio of Dr. Dave Mena has been submitted to WLS. And the nominating committee, of which I'm a member, has been reviewing it. So we will have a final meeting on that on the 24th of October. In the morning or afternoon, and then in the evening when the board meets, the recommendation will be made to the board. And I have no doubt that will be approved at that time. So everything is going very, very smoothly. That's all from my side.
When are you stepping down?
The what?
When's your step down?
At the end of the year.
At the end of the year. Okay, so December.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to say Francis has been a WLS board member for 5 years. As of the end of December. And he's done an amazing job. You were successful in that on the board and you were immediately immersed yourself in committees. You're an officer. And I had heard from Terry and some of his colleagues. They said, oh, we just love Francis. He's just been such an asset, you know, which we all know because you've committed yourself to the job and you did a fine job. And I think just historically, Francis picked up from Dr. LaRuth Gray, who was also amazing, you know, the mother of former board member and chair, Deirdre Gray Clark. And you are a worthy successor. And I'm hoping that Dr. Menner, if he's accepted by the WLS board, which I assume he would be, will be also a worthy successor to what you folks have done. So congratulations to Francis for. a great
Thank
job.
you. Thank you very much. It's not been an easy decision, but I thought I would be able to bring the presidency of the trustee to New Rochelle because I would have been president next year. But I feel that time has come to step back a little. There are a few things that I like to be doing, and that takes quite a bit of time. And therefore I decided that I think this is the right time to step back.
And obviously your detail minutes are always amazing. Always. So many details, like we're at the meeting. So we're really miss that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francis.
Thank you, Corey. Try to make this report brief. And just in a general sense, the library has transitioned from its summer mode to back to school mode, and it's been a great experience. Once again, we're seeing lots of people here in the library, whether it be children's, teen areas filled, in the adult areas as well. Programs have been popular. So it's been a very seamless and easy transition to another school year for all of us. So I'm just happy to report about that. And Elizabeth will have some more details in her report. In terms of our many grants that we have outstanding, one grant that we're hopefully reaching a point where we can end it is the grant that we received a few years ago in relation to the third floor renovation up here. And we've done some remarkable things. The staff have worked extremely well in terms of planning. Our custodians have done an amazing job as well. They're in the process of finishing the creation of 3 new study rooms, which if you get a chance to take a look at them, they look great. They're not quite open. They're not ready for the public yet. And what we're waiting on now is a bid document, which I believe went out earlier this week to a variety of vendors to put in bids for the sort of the enclosure on the third floor of the teen area, with the idea that we want to try to make the library as a whole just a little bit quieter without muzzling our teen population. So we're waiting on that document having gone out, and I think there's going to be a walkthrough in the next few weeks as well from interested bidders. And once the bids come in, someone will be chosen, and then we'll hopefully start the process of enclosing that space. Once that space is enclosed, then we can hopefully finish the third floor by creating 2 smaller conference rooms that will that currently ring the area adjacent to that teen area. And we can't build the conference rooms until the teen space has been successfully enclosed. So we're excited about seeing that done, and the floor looks great, and people are starting to use it. I'm seeing more and more people there than I've seen in many years, because it's become a really attractive space, and a quiet space too, or somewhat quiet space. Let's see what else. In terms of our fire barrier or stopping project, things are moving forward. Let me share with you the report from our sort of our architect, contractor, overseer. He says, this was as of today, as of September 30th, the overall project completion based on dollar value, not including allowances for unforeseen conditions, is approximately 19%, with 85% of the third floor fire stopping work being completed. Since then, the contractor has started working on the second floor repairs. APS and SII continue to inspect the work at the appropriate intervals. And those firms are the third-party firms that are inspecting to work to make certain that the vendor is following through with what they're expected to do. So that's good news. Apparently, 3 concealed conditions have been identified on the third floor by our contractor, Gleason Powers. And Gleason Powers is preparing a cost proposal for that additional work for our consideration. And the good news is, when we created this budget, you folks will recall, we put in a not insignificant amount for contingency, just because we know that this kind of work has surprises. I actually had someone in my office who has a strong background in managing medical facilities, and somehow the project came up. And he said, "Oh, wow, fire stopping." He goes, "That's always a headache." And there you find things that you just don't expect, and seems to be the case. Let's see what else. Oh, I mentioned earlier the fiscal year 2022 New York State Library Construction Grant. The checks just arrived a few weeks ago, and so we're not wasting any time. In terms of the main library, Kira and Elizabeth and myself are working on bringing in Take Form, who is the approved contractor, actually Monday, to look at our space in terms of getting ready to make decisions that will allow them to create the panels that will be locating throughout the library. And so things are moving there. We're not wasting any time. And also on Monday of next week, we'll be meeting with the contractor to look at some of the renovation work that's slated to be done at the Huguenot Children's Library. So the money is here. We never start a project until the money arrives, and now we're ready to go forward there. So I'll keep you posted as we move on. And of course, the other news that you folks heard, you'll recall just a few short months ago, in August, the board approved 2 grant requests to the New York State Library for New York State Library construction money. And the Westchester Library System, of course, was the manager. Francis shared the good news that the WLS board approved our 2 grants. One is for the phase 2 continuation of our noise abatement project. The project I just mentioned to you is phase 1. And the second half of that grant relates to signage and wayfinding throughout the main library. You know, we've done quite a bit of internal repurposing of space, and now we think we need to find a way to inform people where things are, how to find things. And Kira and Elizabeth are working on that. And so we hope to have something started in that regard too, once the money arrives, which will probably not happen until fall of 2024. So that's that. And the other grant that grant was fully funded, as you had heard from Francis. So the match will be provided by our amazing foundation. The other grant that we were successful in, that we submitted in August earlier this year, was for the renovation of the 2 restrooms at the Huguenot Children's Library. They have really not been renovated since the building was reopened almost 25 years ago. And so we think it's time for an updating to maybe make it just a little more user-friendly, make it more ADA compliant. And so we'll be waiting for the money to work on that project too as well. We've had a good run with grants. Another really happy piece of news that you folks will remember is that the foundation, in tandem with library staff, Bobby Simic and Lisa Itzkowitz, and myself, we had applied for an ARPA grant, federal money ARPA grant for the foundation for the library. And the idea was to create a outdoor pavilion programming space in the children's garden. And happily, we received news just a few days ago that the city council approved $250,000 for this project. We had asked for 270,000, so that's, that's pretty successful. So we're now in the process of talking with the city about when the check will arrive. And I should note that that project will be managed by the foundation. They were the 501c3 that received it. We'll be, of course, collaborating with them, but it is a foundation project. One of the issues that we have to look at before we go forward is that in the garden, there are a few tanks that are buried there. And so we have to understand exactly where they are, what their status is, and then make decisions from there. That is also a foundation responsibility. And so we have a vendor that we'll be working with. We're hoping that they'll be stopping in the next few weeks. They have all sorts of high-tech infrared equipment to be able to see if the tanks are still there. Are they full? Are they not? And the questions will then be, if the tanks are there, do we fill them, sort of remediate, or do we remove them? So I don't know, but we'll be investigating. I think we'll also probably have to talk to the fire department too about their status and when we go forward with this. So that's another ball in the air, but it's really exciting that we could see the money for this grant maybe within the next few months, and it will come to us in its entirety. And I have to say, and I'm sure Gene agrees, that this is a federal grant that we have no reporting responsibilities for. Nothing. Yeah, so that's a good piece of news. that's that. We're also working on the possibility of a significant grant from one of our state legislators. I don't really want to say at this point because we're still working on it, but it could be as much as $250,000. And so Whitney has given me permission to pursue that, and I am now in conversations. And the idea would be that we would use these monies for some capital projects. Certainly always a lot of capital projects here. I have been talking with the chief of staff for this legislator. We spoke as recently as yesterday. We're putting together a few things that that she will look at and the legislator will look at and see if they match the grants that are available. And, you know, our goal is to continue to improve our facility. And if we can find grant money someplace else, that's just all the better. So that's something that hopefully I'll have more information to share with you. And this will probably go to the building committee too, Buildings and Grounds Committee at some point, once we have some better sense of where we stand with that. But, you know, we don't want to leave money on the table, and, you know, that's good sum of money to access. Let's see, just remind you folks that the very good trustee handbook book club continues. There's a really important workshop that's coming up on Tuesday of next week, and that's EDI, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, Access and Justice, and that will be from 5 to 6:30 a Zoom. And if you folks do choose to participate, it'd be worthwhile, and it'll also go towards your continuing ed cred. You know, as a trustee, you all need to do that. In December, on December 19th, a few months later, there is an important one also, financing and managing construction projects, and that'll also be on a Tuesday evening, and it's also accessible through Zoom. Almost done. Friends of New Rochelle Public Library, they again continue to, you know, work hard. A small group of people are just handling this incredible flow of donations that come in all the time, and they're selling books back to the community. There was a board meeting on Tuesday, and the board has been reconstituted. It's really great to see all these people around the table actively involved in this effort. And the other good news is that the Friends have been working hard. They raised a good amount of money, and they also, like the library, benefited from a bequest from a well-loved and respected volunteer, Karen Allen. So they received the sizable bequest, as did the library. And so the Friends are in great shape financially. And as in previous years, our staff are putting together a grant request starting in January of 2024. And usually the grant requests relate primarily to programming that our children's department, our teens, and our adult services folks use, and a few other things as well. And so that budget, draft budget will be shared with me. I'll share it with you. And then the Friends will vote on it at their December meeting. And I have to say, the Friends have been giving us upwards of $65,000 to $70,000 every year. And that's just the document that they approve. They're always pretty amenable to a staff member coming up saying, you know, I really need something for summer reading game, or I need something for a teen thing. And so they're just incredibly generous, and they're earning this money generally the hard way. They're not getting big checks. They're selling, you know, fairly inexpensive books. Happily, the Friends office, which is in the back of the first floor, and it's adjacent to community relations, we're working with them to sort of gently renovate that space. And we have grant money that we're using, so it won't come from operating money. We've made a decision to work with a vendor that we've used before, who's on state contract. So we'll get attractive pricing, and the Friends will have a work office space that will meet their needs. And so hopefully that'll be done in the next few months. Last but not least, our amazing foundation, like our amazing Friends, having a meeting. If you folks are available to attend, I would encourage it. I know that the foundation board would love to see anybody from the library board at this meeting. It's Monday, October 24th. It's at 7:30 PM in the room right behind us. So that's available.
Sorry,
Oh, is it Tuesday? Okay. Is that the 24th Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Stand corrected.
Yeah.
You're familiar with the Coffees and Conversation that's 7:30. That'd be good if you could come. It's always a positive meeting too. And as you folks know, the foundation has a very successful Cocktails and Conversation program. That program will continue as part of a really exciting Arts Fest roster of events. And they're calling this one slightly different, Coffee, Confections and Conversation. And the author will be Emily Franklin. She'll be here on a Saturday, October 21st at 11 o'clock at the Townhouse Restaurant. Tickets are $35, include coffee, pastries, and a glass of Prosecco. So that's it. So the Prosecco's it's good draw. So, if anybody has any questions, glad to answer them.
Go for a drink.
On the oil tanks, have you guys touch base with DEP or anything like that?
Traditionally, Corey, we have worked with the county DEP department. Yeah, and we've registered them because we learned a few years ago that we had to do it. And we did it. We did it. And now every year we get documentation, but that's good. Yeah, but registering them has kept us in compliance. But if we want to do something with them, that's a whole nother thing that we're learning about. We have to learn more about, but we'll get it.
Any other questions? Tom? Thank you, Tom. Way to end it, the espresso. Exactly. So, director's report.
That was me.
That was you. Oh, I thought we had, all right, sorry.
President was Whitney.
Okay. President, right, it's in that. I had you at president. Okay.
Personnel. We just say there's no personnel report, so Elizabeth, you're on.
Thank you.
Assistant director. I had you moved up.
Oh, I think this is okay, right? Everyone?
You should use it for the Zoom.
Oh, okay, all right. So I think as Tom mentioned, the fall season has started and now it's class visit season for us. And so we've had several class visits from different schools. We've welcomed over 150 students to the library during these visits. The kids and the teacher get a tour of the space. They sometimes have an activity, a program of some sort, and then they finish off their visit with a little scavenger hunt, which is really fun and probably something that we should all try. And we have more classes planned for October and November. The start of the school year also meant back to school night. So the children's staff, Bobby Simic and many of the staff, Susan Mackey and Ashley and Maria, all went to different schools.
As did I.
Yes, and as is Tom and I also stepped in to help out. We have interacted with over 400 parents, children, and caregivers, which has led to more library card registrations as well as newsletter signups. So it's been a very successful time. I wish we were a little bit better staffed so we could have gotten to all of them. But we made quite a dent in reaching the school community during those few visits. In the adult services department, Kara and her team have been really just incredible in right sizing and maintaining our collections, really tending to them. I think every book in the past year has been touched, looked through, reviewed, and they've made decisions on whether to keep them, replace them. So a lot of work has been happening in terms of our collections, and we found a couple of really interesting sort of insights in this whole process, right? So one of the things with the Spanish collection is
the most popular items or categories of books in that collection are consumer health books. But we also found, sadly, that other books that are also popular in that collection includes domestic violence and alternative health. And so it really sort of gives us enough data to think about like other ways that we can partner with organizations to help. So this is data that we're using to really sort of influence our programming and partnership decisions. We also learned that in the cookbook section, the two growing areas of popularity are both Spanish cooking and Caribbean cooking, which really says something about the demographic of our community as well. In terms of our local history collections, we have actually contributed to the restoration of the New Rochelle train station project that an architectural firm was involved in. Lastly, I want to thank Bala and Tatiana for attending our very first author event. I believe it was a lovely night, and everyone that came really appreciated being there and meeting the author. We have a couple of more events planned for early fall. And last but not least, I want to share a couple of new data points, and this is really largely because of the help and assistance of Daniel, our head of IT, and Milton, our head of circulation, who has been very influential in getting the door sensors up. They're the people counters. Now we can actually get a sense of how many people are coming in and out of our buildings. So last month, we registered over 26,000 people coming in or out. I mean, some of it is, maybe people coming in and out like throughout the day, but last month it was over 26,000. This month it was over 48,000. So it's pretty incredible to see that we're not suggesting that 48,000 people came into building, but we're seeing that there were that many interactions with the sensor. And so that means either people were coming in or going out. Sometimes they were doing it multiple times, but I think that's pretty impressive for the system. So we've been tracking that since about August, end of July, August, which is when we had the sensors put in. So more on that data. And our next thing is to really look at hourly counts and daily counts to see which is our highest hours and times of traffic, so we can really think about staffing and programming and that type of thing. So it's been really exciting.
I just like to mention that thanks to the Friends who provided the funding for the sensors, we're able to do that. And that's another example of the Friends paying for something that wasn't in the budget, but always willing to lend a hand and help us as we, improve our library and learn more about our services.
I have one question. What age groups were the children that visited, like the schools that visited?
Kindergartners, I think we're starting out with the kindergartners.
Oh, great. And then you'll,
Right.
oh, that's great.
Is this the first time that you did the back to school night visits?
No,
You've done them.
We have been doing them for as long as I've been here. We've been trying to connect into our elementary schools primarily, but sometimes middle schools as well. And it was great to have, children's staff, but Elizabeth, myself, and other clerks, and a few, I think maybe one or two adult services librarians. And it's always great to meet people. Elizabeth, you were at Trinity?
I was at Trinity,
Yeah.
yes.
I was at Davis, so.
I remember you talked about that last year, but that was just be my bad memory, so.
Right. No, I think that like
Maybe
maybe
you
they
would, yeah,
could,
but
yeah,
it's-
I was, yeah,
yeah.
right.
I have one other question, sorry.
Sure.
Does the library ever go to like fall festivals or different festivals? Do we ever set up tables at any of the schools during festivals?
If we're invited, we try to make the effort, but Elizabeth touched on an issue that can be a challenge, which is finding people to go to participate outside of their normal schedule. So in particular Denise Link. She's very active. She's a great representative. She's at a lot of things. Lisa and Toby also are at events, Elizabeth and I too. And sometimes we can actually staff events too, but unfortunately, we've had to say no to some events that we would love to do. We were at the street fair, Elizabeth and I,
Yeah.
among other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monsoon Day.
Yeah, we were swimming.
yeah. The tent, I was out getting coffee for everybody and the tent nearly blew away. So so actually one of our foundation wish lists for next year is to get a new tent that is properly attractive and also anchored. So
Francis,
so-
you were there too.
Yes, I was, yeah.
Yeah.
Francis was,
Yeah, Francis
it was at Rotary, so
Yeah.
right, I was there and doing Rotary. And,
That's right,
Yeah,
yes.
it was an interesting day, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it
Elizabeth?
was.
Yeah, but, no, but we do try, I think, staffing. It's an
Yes.
issue for us, but we do try to go to.
That's something that trustees can help with, or does it, the staff has to be there, right? Just can't-
I mean, I think that
Thanks for volunteering. Raise your hand.
No, I think that that's fine. I mean, I think it would be helpful to the trustee to have a staff person there.
Yeah,
Just to answer questions.
but if there are events that you really want to be at and you realize I just don't have the staffing for it, you should reach out and see if
Yeah,
some
that's,
of us could. help.
yes, no, Lisa mentioned that.
Yeah.
I think that's,
You know, it's interesting at like many of the events that take place over the course of the week, we were at Hispanic Heritage. And I was there, Rhiannon was there, Falah was there, Tatiana was there, Lisa was there. So, I mean, one thing to consider, we're wearing many hats when we attend these events, but, library. But I don't know if you, Falah, and you, Tatiana, have the classic library trustee badge. But the other board members have them, and sometimes it's worth wearing them. I can, just sort of thinking
yeah,
we can
pick
order
one
them.
up on-
We can order them, but that's another way just for, when you're in the community, that they know that you're at an event, that they know that you're library trustee.
Yeah.
Do you do like a library card sign up?
We do, yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah. No, I think we registered almost 100 cards.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
that's good.
Right, right, that's right.
But I mean, at the school?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we had them fill out the application and then we bring them back and process them, but we're looking to streamline that for next year.
Very good, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll move over to the committee reports. So start budget committee, Corey, I have nothing to report. Whitney is not here, buildings and grounds. Unless you want to chime in, Whitney. All right. Brianna.
Yes.
I don't want to chime in. Thank you.
Good. Community relations.
Yeah, I think I can keep it brief. Tom and Elizabeth already mentioned a lot of the activities that happened in the last month, but I will just fill in the gaps with the reports that I received from the marketing outreach committee and the Help and Learning Center. So September, October, as Tom said, back to school and a lot of great programs, in addition to kind of the longstanding regular programs like chair yoga, which is ongoing. The Rhodes Piano Workshop, I think there's still a couple of weeks left of that when it's just been really popular. I just told the story last time about running into kids who were just raving about it. And Elizabeth already mentioned the author talk, and there was the Citizens Preparedness Workshop on September 26th that was very well attended, I believe. Coming up is a long list of events, so I'm just gonna, as always, but I'm just gonna read through it real quick, so people can make a note of it. The Adult Knitting Club, which I think had to be canceled, the previous one in September because of monsoon once again. But that's tomorrow, October 13th. The sewing classes are returning, which were hugely popular the first time around. And I think those are still just the classes. We're not renting out the machines yet.
As part of our 3-year
Yeah,
grant
that'll be
program with
next
that
year.
foundation. No, it might be, well, in 2024, but it's got to be before the end of the fiscal
Yeah.
year in June. And we're still sort of feeling our way about how we can successfully do that and working with Brooklyn Public Library, who led the charge with that kind of project. So we're learning from their wisdom.
Yep, so that will happen, but the classes are returning there October 14th, October 21st, and October 28th. The Michael Powers Blues concert is also tomorrow, October 13th. I don't have the time on here. I don't know if somebody can fill in the time. And then because the library is always amazing about knowing special events and putting programming around it, there's an event around the eclipse, which is on the 14th, which I know my kids are very excited about seeing the eclipse. There's children's crafts and eclipse viewing glasses are going to be handed out. So a cool event for kids this Saturday, which is going to be Monsoon Day again. So a good day to bring the kids in every Saturday. Apparently we're doing that. Okay. Yeah. I already mentioned that the piano lessons are continuing. Arts Fest, Tom already mentioned. If you've seen the calendar of the Arts Fest, it's like mind blowing, everything, but the library, of course, is part of that. There are 2 art workshops, 2 concerts, and a play for children on Frida Kahlo that you have to bring your daughter, you know? Okay, good. And then there are events around Halloween, October 28th, and multiple concerts and other art exhibits coming up in November. And I mentioned last time that the community outreach is collaborating with Healthy Yards, which I have a lot of friends who are excited about that. I don't have a green thumb, so I'm not gonna, but there's gonna be a virtual program on October 24th about managing common invasive plants in Westchester. So anybody who's interested in that, that'll be virtual, and I'm sure the information is on the website. And Elizabeth already spoke about the Meet the Teachers night, so I don't have to repeat that. And then the Help and Learning Center is as active and helpful as always, and just assisting patrons with all kinds of digital literacy help, and so on and so forth. A few of the things that are coming up that are exciting are not exciting, but helpful. Notary nights, probably not exciting, but definitely helpful. Every 3rd Thursday of the month at 6 o'clock. I know that people really take advantage of that. So the next ones that are coming up are October 19th, November 16th, and December 21st. So I don't have to ask you to notarize stuff for me. The citizenship classes return this October with 2-hour classes on this Saturday, the 14th, and the 28th from 1 to 3 on the 2nd floor. And the bilingual Medicare advisor will be here to discuss the basics of the Medicare coverage options. And that's Mondays from 10 to 12 through open enrollment months, which are October and November. And then a job fair will be hosted here in collaboration with Westcott. That's October 26th from 11 to 3. Those are the main helpful things coming up from the Help and Learning Center, and that completes my report.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Rhiannon. And I just have to plug two programs. One is this Sunday, and that is a film, and it is New Rochelle Place Hollywood film series. And we have a film critic who presents film that are, many years old. This one is a film that I've never seen. It's called The Clock with Judy Garland and Robert Walker. It'll be here and it will be free, of course. Judy Garland, yes, it's a non-singing film apparently. And it's set during the Second World War. Woman meets a soldier in a 24-hour time period. It's supposed to be a great movie, I hear. So if you're interested, it might be worth it. It's 2 o'clock, and I can tell you the film critic is actually someone that I had worked with in Connecticut. His name is Les Schrager, and he's a retired attorney, but an amazing film buff, and it's very animated, has lots of information. And once he introduces the film plays, and then there's a discussion, and usually a pretty good discussion from the people who are there that ask questions and make comments, and it's just kind of a cool event. And the other program I just want to highlight, because I know it's going to be wonderful, is a program by our archivist, David Rose, and it's called Ghosts in the Wind. subtitle Spectral Vision of New Rochelle for Halloween. And you're probably wondering what exactly that is that. And what David has done since he arrived here is to take our manuscripts, our archives, and has put them in order, which was a challenge because we've never had the opportunity to have someone full-time employed in this area. And David is the most organized person I've ever met and has done an amazing job. And now he's working on this huge collection, which is our photograph collection. I mean, and it's voluminous. And so David is having a program that will showcase the most evocative, unusual, and surprising photographs in our huge photography collection. We have over 15,000 images. He will be showing a selection of 175 photos that will document the social history, everyday life, and built environment of New Rochelle in the 20th century. So if you have time, 3 o'clock on October 28th, it's a busy day, I know especially, but it might be worth your consideration.
Is that it for you? All right, great. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Brianna. Finance Committee, Tatiana. Okay. Lucille's not here for personnel. Policy Committee, Philo,
Nothing to report yet.
and Beth, Special Project.
Nothing.
Okay. There's no public discussion. I don't see anyone here. Okay. Like a motion, would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting today.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, second, okay. Proper motion and seconded by Rhiannon and Tatiana. All those in favor? No opposed, so we will conclude today's meeting. Thank you all.
Yes.